Okay.
All right.
All right. This is going to be like Disneyland. All right.
Why? Because you're sweating? Keep wiping it. Yeah, wipe yourself down. It's all good.
No, it's going to be like Disneyland. Like it's going to be a ride. It's cool.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Ain't Gonna Be No Stupid, where I am here with Christine Barboza, or also known as Coach B, who came up with the title, Ain't No Stupid Students, Only Stupid Teachers. And I'm like, whoa, if that ain't gonna break the internet, I don't know what is. But I do want to say, this is how do we know each other? You want to go? You want to tell the crowd?
Well, 32 years ago for me, 33. Well, this is my 32nd year of teaching. Same. It's going to be.
Because I took a year off.
Because you skipped a year. You took a year off, not skipped a year. You're so advanced. You skipped a year.
Yeah. I got bumped.
Well, I somehow I got the pleasure and honor of being your team teacher. Wait, what do they call it then?
Co-teachers now, right? Co-teachers?
Yeah, yeah. At the time, wasn't it team teaching before?
Yeah, I guess it was called team teaching.
And it was a 2-hour block of kids that do not speak English. And I was told, hilarious.
Yeah, it was great. I wasn't told in the interview they don't speak much English. Didn't realize they didn't speak any. And selfishly, yeah. I did use that time to learn a lot more Spanish. So it was really a fun 3 years doing that. And I remember one memory I have of you, because you're a coach.
Oh, no.
It's still a complaint I have.
Okay.
In my hallway. Is you talked so loud. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know how I approached you. Did I ever like straight up tell you it? Like, how did I ever address that issue? Because that was always like, can you, because I have sensitivity to noise anyway. So I think that's why.
I don't know, but I do recollect sometimes when I would enter the class and, I was team teaching with like 3 teachers altogether, you and 2 others, right?
Yes.
Because of some other situation that we don't want to get into. And so, I remember, I'm coming into other teachers' classrooms and they're kind of established, they have their thing. So I come into yours and it's all dark. And I'm like, did somebody die? Like, what's happening?
It's been dark.
So one class is bright and woohoo, and yours is like, okay, I just need to chill for the first hour and then we can do fun things the second hour. Okay, this is where I'm at. I'm like, okay. So I don't know if you recall that.
No, I don't realize it. I've been in dark classrooms since that day. Like I've always had dim lighting ever since then. That's so funny that you should even mention that. I didn't realize it started back then, but we had trailers. It was hot, sweaty, no air conditioning. But I do want to give a shout out to our first students and our staff at Paramount High School in California. I just want to say hi to everyone who's listening. And what great memories I have of the 90s. Let me tell you, that was just such a
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad you do.
And ironically, Ain't Gonna Be No Stupid Teacher is exactly the words I said when my mom suggested what I should do with my English degree. You know that. So it's so funny. We're coming full circle with this title. So let's just go. We're gonna go. I have an agenda, but you know how it is, right? I want to just start with a few talking points and then go off the rails if we want, whatever. But the first one I have is, first of all, let me ask you this. What do you know for sure?
I know for sure that all kids can learn. And then we really bring it back to what's the difference between being equal and, having equity.
Yes.
And so it's not like all kids can learn at the same pace. It's not like all kids have the same ceiling, but I know in my heart of hearts, and especially being a coach for 25 years, coaching great athletes and coaching like, oh my God, why'd you try for this sport? Let me find a place for you. That, if you care about the kid, then there's an engagement factor and then the learning can happen. And I fully believe that. And caring doesn't mean, let me feel sorry for you. No, I think caring means here's the bar. I'm going to help you meet it.
I love it.
And I think that's just, keeping that rigor, but being yourself, right?
Yeah.
Being yourself in the classroom.
I do have to tell everyone too, that you are a coach with many accolades, the track and field coach. And also teacher of the year. Were you not teacher of the year in your district? So I just want to say she has some cred here.
I was coach of the year too.
Oh my gosh, I knew that. That's why I said many
accolades.
Times. That's why I said many accolades in coaching. So I knew that. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. It's like if we approach teaching more like coaching, if we took the time to do less teaching so kids could learn more, I think that would be powerful as well, right?
Yeah. So they find their agency in the classroom.
It's what Sheldon Eakins calls deficit-based versus asset-based perception. So he even talks about, like, I start with the English language learners because that's where we started together. Instead of saying English language learners, he calls them either emerging multilinguals. Because why are we looking at students who are going to be speaking more than one language as a deficit? These labels that we do in education, it's deficit, like ADHD, it's neurodiversity. Diagnosed twice, me diagnosed twice. And now I realize, oh, I'm not stupid. I'm just think a little differently than other people. And that's what we need to remember with our students, just like you mentioned with the athletes. It's the same principle, right?
Right.
Cool. Also, pronounce names correctly is one thing that I know I've been guilty of. I know I had a girl, I won't say her name, but I had insisted on speaking her Spanish name the way her grandmother did, like legit how it's pronounced. She wanted to Americanize it. And I'm like, oh, no, you must. And I mean, I made her nostrils flare. She was so upset with me because she wanted it to be blended in. And I was like, oops. So I guess be very careful of how we do the name thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's another one I was thinking about.
Yeah, I know that I give kids a lot of nicknames.
Oh.
And then eventually other kids call them that.
Uh-oh.
And but not in a negative. It's kind of like, yeah, I'm whoever. And they just kind of like take it like with pride, like, you know, Miss Barboza gave me a nickname.
But
I do sense, like, sometimes I might say something, oh, no, I don't like that name. Oh, no problem. I will not call you that. You know, my bad. I apologize.
Yeah.
And then you better not call me anything. And you know how sometimes my name could be
right.
You know, derogatory in Spanish and mixed in Spanish. So I'm like, hey, but last year, last year, I've had to not deal with, I don't want to be like it's arduous, but you know, the they and them, the non-binary kids. And so I've really had to, you know, practice and really, you know, kind of be mindful. And sometimes I slip, and then the other kid's like, Miss, it's they. I'm like, oh, I am so sorry. And then they're always like fine with it or whatever, because I do acknowledge, like, yeah, you are who you are. So no problem.
Yes, like embracing identities. I have that down here somewhere too.
Oh,
just embracing identities, because that's actually in the part 2. I'm going to save it for part 2. But I agree with you. I also mess up on that, but it's really cool to see. We had a meeting one day. I remember seeing a lot of people writing you know, how you have to write reports for students for their IEP. And every teacher wrote the correct pronoun for that student. And I thought that was really cool. I was like, way to go. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
All right, hold on a second. My dog's looking at me. We can carry her for a little while.
There's a puppy.
All right, first time doing this with one dog. Okay.
It's like my mom's dog.
I know, I love it. So say hi to Millie. She's who I stay with whenever I go out there. Just want to shout out to Millie, your mom.
Shout out, Mom.
All righty. So what about this? I have this point about, I was just reading Nicole Mira's Educating for Empathy book for the Chicago Writing Project stuff that we're doing. She's coming. And she talks about not just this believing this narrative of being kind and finding commonalities, but going a lot deeper with people, right? And I know one of the things I'm going to do first week of school is I'm going to do an activity about embracing our differences that I learned from Sheldon Eakins' book, which is the leading equity book. So I guess I know you're a very empathetic teacher. I know students come to you for everything. What is the difference? You mentioned sympathy earlier. What is the difference between empathizing with where your students are at or who they are than maybe just sympathy or pity or the savior complex, right?
You know, I was reading the Times this morning, and they highlighted, well, I'm not going to say her name, a San Francisco school board member who got in trouble because they were asking her some questions about what's the problem with the San Francisco school district or whatever. And she's like, oh, the problem is the brown and black students don't have stable families, and their parents don't push them to succeed like other races. And I'm like, whoa, this is a school board member. So let's say she's a teacher in the classroom, that's a standpoint or perspective of sympathy. Like, oh, I'm so sorry you're brown or you're black. It was just like, I was reading it like, what? But I have heard sort of passive aggressive comments like that in, I don't even want to say my own school, but I have in the past.
No. Yeah, I've heard.
And it's so hurtful. And, you know, as a teacher, we are other teachers' peers. We're not their boss or their conscience or whatever. But I'm the English department chair now.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that funny? That's like hilarious right there. It's hilarious because you know me back then.
Yes.
And new people are like, yeah, she's a department chair. Oh, and I'm like, what the hell? All I do is order stuff, you guys. Not a big deal. And they ask me questions. I don't know. But sometimes I want to say some things because kids do tell me about other teachers. You know how that is.
Yes.
And so,
we hear it all.
You know, when it's like a fine line of, do I step in and correct that and say, you know, that doesn't serve the kids at all. I know you think your heart's in the right place when you drive to your suburb or whatever, but that, you know, they see right through that.
Well, totally. And as a department chair, then do you make sure that you get literature that represents all students and not just trauma informed kind of literature? You're just like, you know how sometimes it's just the BIPOC kids or the Black, Indigenous, people of color that I know you do, but I want to make sure our audience did.
Oh, sorry.
But the way that we often only find literature where it's coming from a place of trauma in that literature, when there's a lot more success in the world of people of color than we even show or experience or let the kid come from their place of their own story, I guess is what I'm saying. Do you as a department chair have to do something with that?
I'm very fortunate that I have a voice at the district, right? And that people hear me. But it has been slow in getting different types of literature as to the same vein of what you're saying, which is very disappointing. But I'm trying to get around it by the fact that I could purchase supplemental material.
Oh yeah.
I am involved with this UCLA program called Get Your A's Up, and it's designed to, you know, close that achievement gap with African-American males.
Yes.
And I love that. And let me give a shout out to the person in charge of that, Shervaughnna Anderson-Byrd at UCLA at Center X. And I'm in the one for reading and literature, obviously. And she sends me so many books. I'm like, I can't even get enough time to read them all, but I'm like so grateful to her and being in that community. And then and it's stuff that I just love reading about, but also I can share with my colleagues and things like, so I'm trying to do more of that.
Can you also share that list with me and I'll put it in the show notes?
You know, for our part 2, I'll go get the books real fast and show them to you.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. Then I also wrote down here too, the blunders we have with people of color is we say we're colorblind.
No.
And that is, tell us why.
Okay, so if you're colorblind or I don't see color, then why are you denying or ignoring a whole part of a person's existence and who they are?
Yeah.
And the first 3 things, and I think sociologists proved this, or some studies, the first 3 things that we recognize in others is age, race, gender. So really, you don't see their race, you just see their age and their gender. That's a lie. I don't believe that.
No.
But I think they're saying that, that's why I'm not racist. But then you have to get into whole Dr. Ibram Kendi, how to be an anti-racist. And I went and saw him at USC.
Nice.
Because at LA Times Book Review, he's amazing. Read that. It's like, no, it's not about, oh, no, I don't have a problem with racism. No, it's about being anti-racist. That's completely different than, oh, no, I'm not racist.
There is no neutral in this.
If you're not anti, you are.
Exactly. You have to be anti. And it doesn't mean you have to be burning down buildings, but you have to be what Sheldon Eakins also calls is a disruptor versus just an ally, which I think is very interesting.
Yeah. You need to read Kendi. Have you read Kendi?
I did read Kendi. Yeah.
Okay. Because he has a brand new book called How to Raise an Anti-Racist, and it's for teachers and parents. But he really geared it toward really caretakers of young people.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Good. Okay. How about this? I think we're kind of coming off as this next one. I think I came to Illinois with this with this sin, a know-it-all. I came in with a know-it-all because you guys in California were 10 years ahead. And I came into a school that was just kind of like doing some things. And I was like, wait a minute, what? And I would speak very, very passionately and very vocally. I think I've kind of calmed down a little bit since then, but I think to be a teacher that's a know-it-all and to not also see where you're at in terms of growth, because we're all on that growth continuum, right? It's a spectrum as well. I guess just the teacher that says, I don't need to know anymore. I figured it out. I don't think we ever get there, do we?
You know, well, if you think you know it all, then obviously you don't. And maybe you should stop teaching. But there is like, I don't want you to stop. I want you to be high like that because you're challenging other people to be better, Amy. And that's really who you are. You always challenge people to be better because inherently you're challenging yourself to be better. I know that about you, which I appreciate about you. But I think that when the district, we can say that for any district in the world, right? The district says, oh, let's do this training. We're going to do learning maps. Sorry, whoever likes learning maps. And I'm like, what? Like, do we do everything for them? Like, I don't understand. And so I felt like, are we coming from a place from sympathy because they're not testing well? Like, no, this is like lowering the bar. So things like that, I'm like, nope. And so some people might come off as, oh, Barboza already knows everything. No, I don't. I recognize dumb stuff.
Right.
But I recognize really good stuff that can help me in the classroom and help the kids achieve that bar. I'm not going to lower it. I'm going to keep it up here.
That's so good. And I also just wanted to reference Don Murray, an incredibly, what is this book called? I thought it was called Incredibly Great Ideas, but maybe it isn't. The Essential Lessons from the American's Greatest Writing Teacher is what the book is called. This one I thought was funny. On page 140, it said, stupid kids may not be stupid.
Right.
And students classified as slow may simply have the illusion writers know what they're going to say before they say it. And since they don't know what they're going to write, they may be paralyzed to not write, which is what I call my constipated writers, right? Such students, once they understand how writers write, may release from this paralysis. Same thing with the unmotivated writer. It's just, you've got to let them write an adventure or whatever to tap into that, because that writing is thinking, right? And so when you mentioned that, that stupidity, I thought about what he had to say. Cool. Okay. Another one I'm guilty of.
Can I talk about the writing thing real quick, Amy?
Please.
I kind of shifted because I listened to the podcast with Carol Jago and I think she mentioned, and I probably don't totally agree with her, which is okay, that the writing for her informs the speaking. Did she say that?
I thought when she was talking about when she wrote for the LA Times that she wrote to kind of process her own practice.
No, I meant like in the classroom. I thought she had said that. But
I don't remember that.
I find, because there are English teachers that believe the writing informs the speaking. And I was just having a conversation with Weeble, actually.
Oh, Lori Weeble.
Yeah. And I was like, I've shifted to like Socratic seminars and small groups and things like that, where I can kind of monitor the conversation or the discussion, but just hearing, right? And everybody's listening to it. And then I find if, they read something, maybe they write some quick stuff about it. And then I'm okay, you guys, this group, you guys are going to do 1, 3, and 5. And then I'll ask the question. I'm like, okay, build off of each other's knowledge. Now we're going to probably jump into some more like, deeper writing, some more academic writing. But I found that talking about it really kind of opened the gates to like, oh, I can write about it. And then some kids who are constipated, as you said, like, oh, miss, I don't know how to start. I'm like, okay, you remember that conversation we had the other day? You said this really awesome thing. Write that. Oh, that was good. That was really good.
Yes.
You're on the right track. And it's just that confidence thing. And I find that I just teach confidence a lot, like from being a coach. And now I teach speech and debate. And I really just spend like first 4 weeks in confidence, like actually the whole year teaching confidence. And now we have Unity Day and stuff like that at school. And I give the confidence seminars.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that.
I do that. And I'm like, yeah, just fake it till you make it. You're all good.
Yeah. Well, it's true. Like you were just talking about the talking piece. Talking is pre-writing. Even if you're having a
Yes.
whole class discussion, it's pre-writing.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, and that whole thing, like to getting stuck in like an old method of the way things always work. Keep trying
Yeah.
new things. Keep trying new things.
Yes.
And like
Yes.
I said, less teaching, more students involved means more learning. So that's really key.
Means
right?
more noise.
More
Gotta
noise
be
is
okay with
better.
the
Oh,
noise.
I used to get so dinged on my evaluations for that. And I just said straight up, I'm like, my room will always be more noisy than the
Yeah.
room down the hall because of that. And I'm not changing
Yeah.
that. So I will
That's
be
right.
proficient forever on paper. I will be proficient. I don't care. I don't need to be excellent. All right. So I've got a few more here. How about this? Guilty. Don't mean to be, but I've learned through the years to stop killing people's spirits. I think teachers, we can do it with a look. We can do it with the talk in the hallway, right? We can do it with a lot of things. So I'm just trying not to do that, especially, you know, every kid in the room and embracing again identities. But I don't know if you want to speak to that, how to kill people's spirits.
Dang, girl, like I think when you knew me, I think I was pretty rough. You know, I was an athlete, I was whatever.
Mhm.
And I'm sure I was rough. Like I probably made some boys cry in the track, you know, because they didn't do what they were capable of doing.
Yeah.
And I was just so upset at them because I know I always tell the kids, I see who you are. Like, why are you holding yourself back? And so I do find that it's so funny when people come back and visit me. Like if you were still in California, you know, everybody would be coming back to visit you, right? So they're constantly coming back. 32 years of kids. And they're like, Coach B, you're so nice now.
I do remember you were really sarcastic. I mean, your sarcastic nature, that's natural for you, but I do remember that. And that's always like a big blunder, right? Don't be sarcastic, but oh my gosh.
Like
verbal
I'm
irony,
nice.
an English student without verbal irony, come on, right?
I know, right? Come on. That's how I got the job. But yeah, totally guilty of that. Oh yeah. I mean, I don't want to, you know, prior to you inviting me to talk on this podcast, YouTube channel, whatever this is, I was really, and then I was in a panel at UCLA asking, you know, because my experience, and I was like, what do I have to offer? Like, I don't really see that I'm any different than a lot of teachers. But then more I talked, I honestly, like, that is not false humility, because I know you like saying that. It's not, it's like true. Like, I am not, you know, I probably do some things better. I know that I connect with kids better, for sure, especially, you know, my African-American kids, definitely, I'm not sure why, but I don't really think that I'm better, or what I have to offer is just my experience, maybe. But,
well, that's what that kind of reminds me of what you just said. Like the confirmation bias is another no-no for teachers, where you talk to the teacher who had that student before, and they'll give you the rundown of your roster. Don't ever do that, because a kid in their room is going to be totally different in your room. Correct? Oh
yeah, I never want to know.
Never,
ever. Especially if I hear like, which teacher was that? Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, you had a problem with who? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so do I.
Oh man. Yeah. All right. So how about this? I'm also guilty of this. Being a pushover or too friendly.
I doubt that I am.
No.
I don't know if I'm a pushover or too friendly.
I think I was.
I think that at times, maybe I would let the kids, maybe here's the line, and I let them move the line, and I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah. Same.
And then I'm like, and then I always think like, I am not that stupid teacher. Here's the line, you guys, because if we're not firm, fair, and flexible, we have to be firm, we have to be fair, we have to be flexible. The 3 F's, the first thing I learned my first year teaching.
Yep.
And we have to be consistent. If I say I'm going to meet you at 7:45 in the morning to tutor you or whatever, I better be there at 7:45 in the morning, because that's my word. And I want them to have an adult that they could trust. And then I'm modeling that integrity. Right.
Yes.
But I don't know about pushover, but I think I have let kids push the line, move the line.
I hear you on that. How about this? Well, you have PLCs, which is professional learning communities, right? You have all that. Because remember the days when we would just isolate, have a department meeting, and then do our thing? I don't remember really collaborating. I don't know when this all started, but I know I personally, as a creative, work better alone when I create, but I'm learning the value of collaborating. I mean, definitely, I'm a big collaborator. I believe in it completely. This is what the podcast is all about too, you know? So I guess if you want to speak to collaborating versus isolating, because sometimes isolating is a self-preservation technique, trauma response, you know, but I don't know.
I don't think for me isolation's a trauma, whatever. But I know it is for some people. I do, but I think our jobs are just, we are in isolation all day.
Right.
I mean, we are with a bunch of kids, but we're the only adult. Nobody really sees us teach, right? Unless admin comes in for like 5 seconds and walks out, or the security's looking for somebody or whatever. Right. But the PLCs for me were so forced and not really organic. And I really wish we could have picked who we wanted to collaborate with. I think that would have helped, because sometimes in our PLCs, some folks just kind of run the show, and everybody's voice is important, not only in the classroom, but in a meeting, in a PLC.
Yes.
And so I find that I would have a PLC after the PLC.
Right. I know, because there was like, that your voice wasn't heard.
Well, my voice could be heard all the time, right? But I was like, why I'm wasting my time listening to how so-and-so does this. I would never do it like that. Yeah. But I know this group of teachers, we want to do it like this, but we won't speak up because why? So then we'll meet after school, or we'll meet after the PLC, or we'll meet at lunch on our own and create lessons. And I really, really love collaborating with the younger teachers, Amy.
Right.
I really love it. And they're always like, what do you do? I'm like, well, what would you do?
Nice.
I mean, you're closer to their age. Does this sound engaging to you? What about this TED Talk? Is this boring? Because I really like it, but you know.
Yeah,
so,
good point.
Yeah. So I think it's a double-edged sword. Collaboration is important and effective, and it could be negative and less important.
Yeah, depending on how the norms of the group, right? See who actually gets to speak up, and why speak up if they're not going to receive what you have to say. So I get that too.
Yeah, you know, the whole well, this is how I do it.
Yep.
Oh my God. That could be a whole segment in your thing. Phrases you hate.
We can even just do a whole segment on all the acronyms that we're saying right now. I haven't used the word unpack yet, but that's a big
bandwidth. Use bandwidth. That's a heavy lift.
Right. Oh my gosh. So how about this? Have you been a stress ball through the years? Because I know I have done. Last year was probably the most stressful year, even though I saw a meme recently that said, it's okay. After the first 30 years, it's not as bad. But I feel like last year was the worst, but it was also the best year in terms of how I took care of myself. So that's another thing. Are you as much of a stress ball as you used to? Are you still coaching?
No, you know, Amy, I stopped coaching. My last year was 2016. And so like 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
And wow, teaching is so much easier now.
I know. I can imagine the time.
I mean, I was head boys and girls track coach. I put on these invitationals. I was on the CIF advisory committee. I was on all these committees. And so I had 100 and something kids, and fundraising and whatever, and then English classes, right? So it was a lot. And then I was an honors teacher for a long time. So it was a lot of grading. But now that I kind of stepped away from coaching, I have now completely, because I was private coaching a little bit at the end. And that I just feel like, oh my gosh, this is great.
Yeah.
But then COVID, I need to be around people. And I know you're the opposite of this with your dark room. So I was the teacher. I was like this every day. All right, you guys, let's go. We're going to do this.
That's another thing I used to tell you in class. I'm like, can you tone it down?
Because I was like, woohoo. And then, but I was like inside, I was dying inside. And then I was like, you guys have to put your cameras on. And so they all put their cameras on every day.
Wow.
Yeah. And I go, and plus I taught speech and debate online. How do you do that?
Oh, right? I know. I did that too. They all recorded it. No, I did too. They recorded it. It was really fun. I have really great examples now on my other YouTube channel.
Oh, no recording live. Go ahead.
Oh, wow.
Right now.
Yeah. Some did it live.
Yeah. And I'd invite, people from the board, admin to come in and watch their final speeches because they needed an audience.
Oh, good.
That wasn't just us all the time.
I agree.
And we couldn't compete anywhere or anything. So, but it was great. It wasn't great. It was great this year because some of the kids that I had during the COVID year, they would come back. Miss, you were my best teacher in COVID. You really tried.
Oh.
I tried. It was so funny to hear
that. Really,
that's
kind of ironic. It's ironic, right? That you tried as a teacher, and the other teachers were just kind of like, probably just like, do this and see you tomorrow, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I heard that some teachers didn't even put their cameras on. It was so sad.
Wow.
It was really sad to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, that was rough. Yeah, that was rough in a different way. That was rough. And then the hybrid was rough the year after, but it was calmer because it wasn't the chaos of all the hallways and all that. And then the real deal came back where they came back live last year, but we still had masks on. I don't know what's happening this year. But hopefully I'm glad to hear you're not as much of a stress ball, because I know this job is like 2 jobs, equivalent jobs. I mean, you know, you have your kids and then you have everything a full-time job requires, if not more, right?
Yeah, clubs and
yeah.
You know, I do clubs too. So
well, you mentioned 7:45 meeting, and then you mentioned lunch meeting, and then you mentioned after school meetings, and that's like beyond.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So how about this? You mentioned audience. I wrote this as teachers need to be more informed about their audience, their kids in the room. And if you could speak more about that.
Well, how are you going to teach the kids if you don't even know who they are? Right. Like, that's like, doesn't even make any sense.
Right.
How do you just have them come in? You have the warm up or whatever. Get out your Chromebooks. Okay, read this, answer this. Okay, the bell rings. Like, that is not learning, and that is not teaching.
Right.
And I have to make, I think a stupid teacher, if we want to dive into that title, I think for me, a stupid teacher is a lazy teacher. So like, get up. Okay, the bell rang, passing period, stand at your door, welcome the kids in. Hey, how was your game? As they come in, oh yeah, you said you had that physics test. How did you do? Or, whatever. Yeah. It's not that hard to like remember, because you're making a connection with the kids.
Yeah.
That's easy. That's an easy thing to do. And then once you get to know them, then they share more, and then they work harder for you.
That's true.
I'm sure you had a teacher that you loved, so you worked harder in that class.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
If I had a math teacher I love, I probably would have done better in math, like, to be honest. So I just feel like, and not everybody's going to like you, and I'm not in it to be liked.
Right.
But I want to be effective. So.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I think of it as a storefront. If you're in a mall and you're sharing, coming to my store, then I would want them to experience the store in a way that, the price might be high, but I got some sales here, and I've got some experiences here that you can have, and you won't cost you a thing. So I think of it that way too. So what if we could end this episode right now with a final thought, and then we'll head into part 2. What is your final thought? There's no stupid students, only stupid teachers. What?
My final thought is, if you don't really care about teaching and being effective, then just please don't teach. Like, seriously, you're hurting kids. Like, and don't blame the kids. It's kind of like your dog. Oh, my dog's not potty trained. Well, what have you done?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I put him out there, but he doesn't go. Well, what have you done to help him?
That's good.
Well, he should know. Oh,
wow.
No. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I don't know if that's a final thought.
No, that's a great final thought. No, definitely a great final thought. Okay. I forget how I even end this thing. Oh, how can we, I know, I'm so done. How can we find you, Chris Barboza? Do you want to find you? Do you want to be found, like social media or anything?
Just the C Barboza at paramount.k12.ca.us. That's the Paramount.
Okay.
That's my school email.
I'll write that down while I'm eating.
Are we hanging up? Bye.
Yeah, we don't have to hang up right away, but how you doing?
We'll say bye.